Hello and welcome to KamenRider Blackman. And today I will be doing a new series on my channel called Compare the Shows. It's basically when I will take two shows from the same franchise and compare them together to find similarities and differences and see which one I'd prefer or like a bit more still. But instead, but first I'll go to give both shows a fair chance. I'll go one by one, and by the end, I'll go to which I prefer more, but just for fun. And so, how this is gonna work is basically like if you've seen, if you watch the TokuCast videos, whenever they do their segment in comparison with Sentai and Power Rangers, it's basically that. But I do it when I compare two shows of the same franchise. And for today, I will be comparing Kamen Rider Kuuga to its apparent sequel, Kamen Rider Agito. So, let's see how much these two shows actually have in common. So, first things first, let's start with the monster slash the villains of each shows, the Gorongi and the Lords. I'll start off with monster designs first. I personally like the designs of the lords, or at least that is the individual monsters. Like I like how they feel almost I want to say almost alive. They're a combination of like the lords feel like a combination between animals and humans, like really literally merged together. Where the Gorongi, on the other hand, they're actually just sociopaths that can transform into monsters and do a lot more damage that way. And not only that, in terms of designs, the lords are they feel a lot they feel like they feel a bit much more they feel I like the designs of the lords a bit more. While the Gorongi designs are not bad, they're actually pretty fantastic and they feel just so undead, which explains because they're revived and brought back to life. So of course they have like dead colors. But if I was to pick, well, not pick, like in terms of designs, I'll give it to the Lords. But in terms of motivations and activity and whatnot, basically for what makes the monster, I still want to give it to the Gorongi because their type of evil was for their type of evil was evil for evil's sake, and that's the whole thing with the Gorongis. They're evil. They were evil for evil's sake, but it's not generic. And it's not generic because they're a race of sociopaths that just go around and have enjoyment in killing people. So much that the Gorongi actually kill people, like literally for a game. That's how that's how scary the Gorongi actually are. Finally, on to characters. Oh, and I'll be starting off with the main characters. So we have Yusuke Godai versus Shoichi Tsugami. Now, I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted right now. I have a TV, my TV's on, and I didn't turn it off while recording because I didn't want to. But Yusuke and Shoichi, let's see here. This is a bit of an easy one, but I'm gonna give it to Yusuke. Not that Shoichi is a bad character, but in terms of how both of them are, it's like Yusuke is a person that you can actually believe and follow. Shoichi is Shoichi is more of a Shoichi is more of a pal, and sometimes you really don't understand him until you actually try to. It's like at first appearance, you don't understand him, but not that Shoichi's a bad character, which he isn't. I even said it in my own review. Shoichi is not a bad character. It's just if we're talking about as overall characters, like Yusuke, he brought like Yusuke, he brought a he brought a bit more, and as well as Soichi, but not to any real farther extent. Like his own story alone was good, and that's fine. And this I will admit, like Yusuke alone, he really didn't have like this. I will admit alone in Kuuga. Ye- no, that's not true. I was about to say, yeah, Yusuke. They both have both Yusuke and Shoichi. They both have arcs, but once you come down to it towards the end, Yusuke is a character that left more of an impact, and Shoichi not so much. And it's like I'm not just talking about like an impact on just his circle alone, but just making an impact on people's lives in general. Like that's Yusuke. So next, next, this is going to be our first three-way of characters. So we have Ichijo versus Hikawa versus Ryo. Here's the thing about right now. In a way, I want to say Hikawa because I really like Hikawa is like the my probably my favorite character from Agito. But then again, compared to Ichijo, it's just Ichijo is that character. Ichijo is that perfect character that needed imperfections, which is what Yusuke was for. And so yeah, but if not, when not, but not talking about those two for a moment. Ryo, like Gills isn't a bad character, but I didn't really find myself interested with his stuff in show as far as I remember from watching Agito. But between Ichijo and Hikawa, it's a bit of a tough one because I do want to say Hikawa, but I also have to remember how Ichijo really is and what great moments they both have great moments. It is a tough one. Hmm. It's tough. It's tough because Ichijo without Yusuke, he is a great character and a great cop. While Hikawa, on the other hand, he's no comic relief. He's funny, but he's still a serious and a great cop. I God, this is hard. Like I almost want to say Hikawa because I can try to relate to him a bit more. Like he's not perfect. Like like Hikawa is a good foil for show like Hikawa is a better for Hikawa is a better foil for Shoichi. Like Shoichi is a Gary Stew and Hikawa isn't. It's like that's the only way that I can describe it. But I think I'll just go for screw it. I'll make this a tie because I like both these characters. And so, next one. Okay, so now I'm going to compare the girls of the show. So, Sakurako and Mana. I'm going to give it to Sakurako because she contributed a lot more with Kuuga. Where, yeah. Mana's not a bad character, and she did actually contribute a bit with the police as well as with Shoichi's story as well. It's just that Sakurako was like one of the most important characters in the show. She was completely necessary for like everything. Like, which is interesting too because first things first, the usual role of the girl in Kamen Rider is that they're the ones to bring the main characters back to reality. With Sakurako and Yusuke, it's in reverse. He's the one bringing her into reality with the threat that they're currently dealing with right now. So I'm giving it more to her for being just a lot more important and useful. So next, I'm comparing now the female doctor, the female doctor that worked with the police from Kuuga, and Ozawa. Compare those two. God damn, I just realized I made another tough one. Like, I'm not even kidding. The doctor served a purpose, making the police's arsenal and contributing to Kuuga as well to make the police more effective against the monsters. And Ozawa is the one who actually created the G3 system and was the commander of the G3 unit. Oh my god. I just realized this is a tough one. God damn it. Oh, frick. Know what? I know it. I will pick the female doctor for this one from Kuuga because she actually has a bit of an arc in the show. Ozawa unfortunately didn't. She just had a romance that came out of nowhere at the very end. But yeah, I'll give this to Kuuga. So let me have a moment to compare points right now. Alright, so it's 5 points Kuuga, 2 points Agito. Oh my god, this is an easy one. Also, this is the last of the characters that I'll be comparing. I'm not gonna compare final villains, by the way, because it wouldn't really matter. So, here's another one. Well, this is the last of the characters. So, the other doctor in the show, the male doctor, Tsubaki, versus Jean, versus Omuro. If anyone's asking right now who's Omuro, you just answered your own question. He is the their character, literally, of the show. And so this goes to Tsubaki, the male doctor, who is a close friend of Ichijo and was Yusuke's doctor. And he also was worked in a joint, and he also worked along with the police when it was to examining bodies and whatnot of humans and of the monsters to find some type of weakness or clue. And so next so next we have, now I'm comparing powers. So I'll be next first. Now let's compare Kuuga's power set and his powers to Agito's. Now, through the power of the Oracle with Kuuga's different form changes and whatnot, I feel like, yeah, this is something that I've also heard before. Kuuga's different forms actually represent a different element. Like, Mighty form is fire, Dragon is water, Pegasus is wind, and Titan, I believe, is earth. Whereas Agito's forms are ground form, storm form, and flame form. And burning and shining are more power-ups. So now, let me think. Because the thing with... How did I think? With Kuuga, the thing with Kuuga's different forms are... With each different form he has, he then gets a new ability, as well as he also has to find something like anything on the ground or wherever to make it a weapon for him. For Agito, on the other hand, he apparently just has all of his forms. But it's not that he just has all of his forms. He can go into a new form, and he immediately has a weapon for it. Like I said, for Kuuga, he has to go out and actually find something to make it a weapon. Agito, his weapons are given to him. To which that I honestly don't mind. Because just because it's fine. I just think it's fine. While Kuuga having to find something to make it his weapon, that's good. With Agito, it's just less of a hassle. But in terms of different abilities, and power sets, first time I did this was a bit easier because I thought it was going to be a tie. But thinking about it out loud now, I'm going to have to give it to Kuuga, unfortunately. But that's not unfortunate. I still like it. Anywho, now to finally compare the plots. Now, we have both shows are episodic. There's no doubting that. Both shows are episodic. But here's where Agito has a setback. We don't fully get or understand the plot of the show until the show is literally almost over. Where first episode of Kuuga, you can get the plot like right away. Like, these monsters have been revived from the dead, and then this man comes in, he becomes superhero to save people. Like, you get the gist of the show, and you understand the plot right away because the plot is actually developed there. In Agito, the plot is developed completely over time, as it's just mystery by mystery, step by step, until we're at the latter half, and there's only, say, 11 episodes left. And so I'm unfortunately going to have to give it to Kuuga. But now, not that I think that Kamen Rider Agito is a bad show. It honestly isn't. Like I said, I don't think Agito is a terrible show at all. I think it's pretty fine. Like, does the show has its setbacks? It honestly does, but it doesn't hurt this show entirely in like the grand scheme of things. Like, I don't hate the show. I don't think that it's weak. I don't think that any of the characters are bad. I just think that the plot came in later than expected. Where with Kuuga, you understood the episodic plot, but the end game didn't come in until the latter half of the show. So, for this first video episode of Compare the Shows, the winner is Kamen Rider Kuuga. And by the way, if anyone asks me why I didn't compare the both openings, I like both of them equally. Maybe Kuuga's a bit more, but eh. Anywho, that was the first episode of Compare the Shows. This actually wasn't bad, and I really want to see how this turns out, to see how people like it. Because of course I'm going to upload this on YouTube as well as on Facebook, and I'm learning right now about how to use and how to upload on Dailymotion. But this is a good one. And I hope you guys enjoyed Compare the Shows, because I plan to do this eventually in the future with whatever two shows I can find in common, or with whatever two shows I can find that has some things in common with each other. Because that's the whole point of why I did this. That's the whole reason why I did this to begin with. Because Kuuga and Agito, they do have their similarities as well as they have their differences. And with some say that Agito is a sequel to Kuuga, I really wanted to get straight to the point, get down to it as to how is it a sequel. And overall, Agito is not a sequel to Kuuga, because it's clear, like, its style of lore is the same, but in the long run, it's something completely different, to where it stands on its own as a show. And I still enjoyed it. And with that said, that's the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching. Compare the shows. Please not forget to like, subscribe, tell your friends about Kamen Rider Blackman. Hopefully I will do more with whatever shows come next. And see you guys next time. Peace.